must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Good Morning Africa. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and it is a pleasure to have you on board. The day is the 16th of August, 2021. And before I bring you, we got through the latest on the headlines this morning. I'd like to introduce my panelists, and we are joined this morning by Samuel Tawish, a journalist from Nairobi. Samuel Tawish, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Miriam Ogutu. Good morning, Javan Karanja. Good morning to everyone who is watching this program in Kenya, Africa, and the rest of the world.
All right, Javan, thank you so much. And we're also joined by, not Javan, but Samuel. We're also joined by Javan Karanja this morning. Javan, a very good morning to you.
Thank you very much, Miriam, for having me on the show, and good morning to our viewers and Tawish, wherever they're catching this broadcast from. It's always a pleasure being on Punchline Africa Television. Thank you.
All right, nice to have all of you, and the rest of our panelists will join us as we continue. And oh, by the way, Javan is also a journalist all the way from, and political analyst from, is it Nanyuki? Is it Nanyuki or Nyahururu? I'm confusing this morning. I don't know what's the problem.
It's Nanyuki. But
it's Nanyuki,
both
yes.
are in the same county, yeah.
All right, very well, thank you. So let me just take us through quickly on the headlines, and then we shall have a conversation. On the Daily Nation, the main headline there says, puzzle of cheap fuel in Nakuru against principles pricing formula is expected to make commodity more expensive as one travels farther away from Mombasa, but apparently the prices in Nakuru are a bit cheaper. And then just up there, Ruto tears into Uhuru's 2022 succession game plan. And just besides that, Afghan president flees as Taliban take over capital. President Ashraf Ghani flees, effectively ceding power to the Taliban as they marched into Kabul yesterday. The story is on page 20 of the Daily Nation. And ended to a whirlwind romance. A fast couple breaks up. And Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua and his wife Lillian Nganga have announced the end of their marriage, bringing to a close relationship that saw the country boss divorce his first wife, Josephine Thetu. Ms. Nganga yesterday announced the end of their marriage on her social media page, and that is that. And then just down there, incumbent Lungu urged to concede as opposition leads. Results from around 40 of the constituencies that have so far reported placed the veteran 59-year-old opposition leader Hakainde Hichilema ahead of President Lungu, who is 64 years old. That is the elections that took place last week on Thursday on 12th in Zambia, and the opposition leader seems to have taken a very early lead since the counting of the ballots started, and President Lungu has been left to just complain. And we head over to the Standard newspaper, and the main headline, Eyes on Hardliners. Uhuru succession. They are crucial players in any political negotiations, but at times comes out as extremist and selfish individuals out to market their leaders while upping their own political stakes. And then just besides that, KANU wants Raila in OKA game plan, calls for justice for Embu brothers. And then KCSE candidates to no colleges today. And the earthquake leaves 301 dead in Haiti, and the KRA defies COVID in July. It gets 1 122 billion Kenya shillings. I think that is the taxes. And then Kenyans plot to silence South Africa, Seg Godiso. So that is on the sport page, on page 38 and 39. And then on the Standard newspaper, the main headline, Raila dilemma over choice of running mate. Allies are keen that he picks a deputy from Mount Kenya region. And then Kitui, I have solutions to Kenya's graft problem. The story is on page 8 of the Star newspaper. Mother of slain Kitengela brothers arrives from the UK. The story is on page 2. And city couple seeking help to raise a 6 million Kenya shillings hospital bill. All right, so that is what we have on the leading newspapers this morning. So let's just start with the Standard newspaper. KANU wants Raila in One Kenya Alliance game plan. The story is on page 8 of the Standard newspaper. Let's see what that is about. Very well. Infighting by affiliate parties of One Kenya Alliance is now threatening to complicate identification of a flag bearer for the ticket. The four principals of the nascent coalition today trooped to Naivasha for a retreat amid hard stance taken by allies of Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and Amani National Congress boss Musalia Mudavadi over the flag bearer. The coalition brings together Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka, KANU chairman Gideon Moi, and Ford Kenya's Moses Wetangula. KANU Secretary General Nick Salat has said One Kenya Alliance cannot ignore ODM leader Raila Odinga in its game plan and accused a section of the principals of taking hard stance on who should be the flag bearer. Samuel Tawish started for us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Miriam Ogutu, and thank you for the conversation we are having this morning. Indeed, Miriam, right to what we are discussing this morning as regards to the shape-up of the 2022 succession politics. It's obvious, Miriam, it was very clear from the word go that One Kenya Alliance, OKA, if you like, that is being led by Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, KANU's Gideon Moi, of course, and Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka, cannot stand on its own. They do not only need Raila Odinga as part of the equation, but I think Raila Odinga is the key or the main player in any of this question. And there's no way the likes of Kalonzo Musyoka, Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, Gideon Moi can completely wish away the input that Raila Odinga has when it comes to the 2022 succession politics. Therefore, in itself, Miriam, I want to submit that they should not buy more time. They should not actually squander the opportunity for them to actually unite and have a formidable force, whichever person they're going to settle on as the flag bearer of that particular coalition or alliance. What is important for us is that we need these leaders to be united as they push ahead to prepare for the 2022 general election. That is very important for us. But more important, Miriam, I suppose also, they should have a ticket that has more of the chances really of clinching the presidency come 2022. Because again, politics is not just about contesting, it's not just about competing, it's a game of numbers. And the ultimate objective by the end of the day is really to seize power. And if the arrangement or the arithmetic that this particular alliance or coalition that is being built is not going to guarantee that victory, then like I've said in the past, this country and Kenyans should brace for a William Ruto presidency. And if at all, the likes of these opposition leaders can come together, if the interest is about service for the people of Kenya, if the interest is to ensure that there's continued unity and the continued legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta, then I think it is incumbent upon them really to sit down in one house and decide who amongst them is going to be a flag bearer and who's going to be a running mate in as far as 2022 succession politics. But I hope and I pray that by the end of the day, they are actually going to agree. So Raila is not just going to be part of this particular question, like I've said, is the main player, one which you do not have in your team. It actually diminishes even the chances of you making it or counting really when it comes to this contest of presidential election in 2022. That is as it is today, Miriam.
All right. Thank you, Samuel Tawish. So this is what Nick Salat is quoted as saying, and I'll just read that on page 8 of the Standard newspaper. Everybody is insisting on their preferred candidate, but this is not the way to run things. It is important for people to sit down and talk. It is about what formula will hand us a win, and not the question of who has what numbers. That is the discussion that I hope to have tomorrow, which is today. And Mr. Nick Salat, who is the Secretary General of KANU, said yesterday, and him saying that, we cannot, ignore Raila in this matrix. Jevan Karanja, what are you hearing KANU to be saying? Because we know also the KANU chairperson, Gideon Moi, also has been leaning towards, he has no problem working with Raila, essentially, even in the OK, coalition.
Thank you very much for that. And I think in that One Kenya Alliance, the only party that is being honest is KANU, because they understand that to win an election is not just by having a formidable candidate, but also by having a candidate who have the support across the country and somebody who has been tested and proved beyond any doubts that he can really give other contestants a run for their money. And that is former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Because when you look at One Kenya Alliance, them without Raila Amolo Odinga, or without an input of maybe a character of William Ruto, they cannot even have the bargaining power, because when you look at their numerical strength, they don't have any numbers that they can bring on table. Because when you look at Musalia Mudavadi and you put the Western Kenya numbers in table, they will not come 100. They will not translate 100% to Musalia Mudavadi, but the numbers will be divided among other key leaders in the region, including Oparanya and others. Therefore, he really does not have the full backing from his home ground. When you look at Wiper, the number that he can bring on table, and when these guys ran for presidency, Miriam, their numbers proved that they cannot get to even to opposition, because they came a distant third in various presidential contestants that they give their hands in. Therefore, when you look at that, Miriam, this shows that the only person, and when you look at the last 2017 general election, you'll see the NASA coalition, they were able to get 44% of all the total vote cast, meaning they just need to add something small on their basket, and they will clinch the 50+1%. Therefore, this is upon the One Kenya Alliance principles to understand this time round is either they unite or they go their separate ways and fall miserably, because I don't see any one of them, if they go their separate way, clinching the presidency. And when they do that, they will giving the Deputy President, William Ruto, a soft landing when it comes to 2022 presidential election, because if they happen to have Musalia Mudavadi as their presidential candidate, then Raila Odinga goes to the ballot. Then that shows that they're giving William Ruto a chance to win. But Miriam, some things in politics, they might be they are so secretive that maybe it will take time for us to unearth or to understand what is happening behind the scene. Because from when you look at it keenly, you might find out that maybe the One Kenya Alliance, especially the ANC and Fund Kenya, they might be working with the Deputy President behind the scenes. And maybe that is why they are trying as much as possible to ensure that this One Kenya Alliance goes to the ballot, because they know for a fact, if they do that, they will reduce the chances of the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga, becoming the president. Therefore, a lot is happening behind the scenes. And I can say, this One Kenya Alliance, they are not being honest. Something is happening, and maybe they are being used by other quarters, and most likely by the Deputy President. But time will prove whether my speculations are right or not. I submit.
Okay. Thank you. But in a quick rejoinder, Makueni, Member of Parliament, Daniel Manzo, an ally of Kalonzo, said that criteria of picking a candidate should factor in the number of elected leaders a party has in the current parliament. His suggestion directly roots for Kalonzo presidency, since Wiper has more elected leaders compared to other three partners in OKA. And picking a candidate should not be a complicated affair. You all know who has more votes, who has more elected leaders among the four principles. That is the formula of picking a candidate, said Mr. Manzo. And so if that is the formula, and now there's a possibility today they're going to talk, and perhaps from the newspapers we read yesterday, and how to work with Raila. Should Raila join this coalition? And if that is how they're going to choose the flag bearer for the One Kenya Alliance, that means Raila will be the flag bearer if they were to go with the numbers each party has in parliament today. Samuel Savish.
Miriam, you'll notice that the One Kenya Alliance that these leaders are gravitating towards is actually they need Raila more than Raila needs them, in the sense that when you look into the numerical strength, looking onto the leaders who are elected on an ODM ticket, say for example, you go to, if you are to count the number of governors, for example, who are elected on an ODM ticket, how many are they? They are over 17 as we speak today. Almost half of the 47 county governors are elected on an ODM ticket. And the case is the same with the number of elected senators. You cannot even speak of how many members of parliament are elected directly on an Orange Democratic Movement, let alone even the members of county assembly. In itself, essentially, when Jevan Karanja was speaking about a formidable candidate, how are you able really to determine that so and so is a formidable candidate? How are you able to really determine that Raila Odinga really has a very big sway in this country? Because again, you go to the coastal region, almost all of the elected leaders in that particular region really identify with the Orange Democratic Movement, ODM, which is led by Raila Odinga. You go to Nyanza region, the rest of the Nyanza counties, almost all of them really, the governors, the senators, almost all of them have been elected on an ODM ticket. And so is the case even in Western Kenya, where Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula really reigned from. The current governor of Vihiga County, that is Wilberforce Otichilo, really is an elected governor on an ODM ticket. And so is Oparanya's case, who is the ODM deputy party leader. So how are you able really to determine by the end of the day that so and so is the suitable candidate? Because one, they have the numbers. Second, they have the followers. They have they have a huge support countrywide. You go to Nairobi, for example, today, Miriam, if you are to really look into the number of elected leaders, out of the 17 elected members of parliament in the 17 constituencies of Nairobi, which is Kenya's capital, the heart of Kenya, Wiper has only one candidate, has only one MP out of the 17. ANC does not even have a single candidate. For a single MP elected on an ANC ticket. The same goes to Kanu. The same goes to Ford Kenya. And Raila Odinga has almost 10 elected on an ODM ticket. So how can you really wish away that Raila Odinga is a formidable person? And that is why, if you are even to bring the question of numbers, if you are to bring the question of support across the country, really Raila Odinga beats these individuals. But again, the reason why they're in haste really to have this meeting and to have this retreat and decide who amongst maybe the four of them is going to be the flag bearer for the One Kenya Alliance without Raila Odinga's question is because they know once Raila Odinga comes in or once he's invited, then automatically he's going to be the flag bearer, going by all factors. Because if you are to look at the numbers, if you're to look at the supporters, the support across the region, if you to look at the goodwill, even coming from the current president or the outgoing president, most of the people who are backing President Uhuru Kenyatta and who are very keen in ensuring that there's going to be a smooth transition and a transition which really is going to be anchored on the continuity of the unity agenda and the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta. They think that person is Raila Odinga. So One Kenya Alliance do not have an option. The only choice they have but to unite with Raila Odinga and to support him in his bid really to become president. I think the other things are just but hocus pocus. They don't hold any water. These individuals cannot go any far if they went without Raila Odinga. That is a fact. That is a reality that we should live with. Miriam, I submit.
Okay. And, Daniel Manzo has a different thought. This is what he said. One thing I know is that we are not going to support Raila. If the principals decide to back him, they will be doing so on their own. We can agree on anything else, but not on Raila, said the Member of Parliament. And Lugari Member of Parliament, Ayub Savula, insisted that if it is about numbers, then Mudavadi is a clear flag bearer for the coalition. He said that Western Bloc has more numbers compared to Kambani. And we know even ODM itself, Raila's party has so much support in Western Kenya. So for Lugari Member of Parliament, to say that the Western Bloc has more numbers, therefore Mudavadi, is suited to be the flag bearer. I don't know where they've placed Wetangula in this matrix and the other support that Raila enjoys in that region.
Miriam, I've just given you the example, I've given you the example of elected leaders from Western Kenya, the former Western province. Vihiga County, where Musalia Mudavadi comes from, his home county. Yes. Governor of that particular county is elected on an ODM ticket. I've given you the example of Wycliffe Oparanya, who is the current governor of Kakamega County and ODM deputy party leader, is elected on an ODM ticket. Not once when he became the MP for Butere, when eventually became governor for the first time. Now he's a governor for the second time. He's elected on an ODM ticket. So Raila Odinga generally really enjoys a considerable
compared to
goodwill from that particular region.
Yes, indeed. Samuel Savish, I hear you. Thank you so much. Lugari Member of Parliament, Jeven Karanja, what is saying that...
With or without Mudavadi? So I do not know really what that Mudavadi will be using. You come to Busia County, you will find that the governor in that particular region and the senator and the women rep and most of the MPs, save for one or two, are elected on an ODM ticket. So which kind of support or backing does Mudavadi talk of that is commanding Western region? I mean, this is just but wishful thinking.
Okay. Thank you so much, Samuel Sawish, Jeven Karanja. Is there something Member of Parliament Ayub Savula is saying that we're not seeing? There's a possibility between now and 2022 when we'll be having an election, they can be able to marshal the Western votes to be in one basket. Is there something he's saying that perhaps the rest of us are not?
Yeah, thank you very much, Miriam. And Ayub Zavula is saying something. Only if the former Prime Minister, Raila Amolo Odinga, says Mudavadi Tosha, because by saying so, he'll translate maybe the support that he has in Western Kenya to Musalia Mudavadi. But Musalia Mudavadi alone, without the support of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, will have a very difficult time trying to get all the Western Kenya voters on his side, because since 2002, when he was the Vice President of this republic, the former Vice President Musalia Mudavadi has been struggling for the last 20 years to unite the Western Kenya. In 2017, when they were invited by Court Secretary General Francis Atwoli in Bukungu Stadium, he was declared the Western spokesperson. But later, Atwoli revoked the powers, revoked the kingpinship from Musalia Mudavadi when he said that Musalia is a coward. Therefore, it has been a long journey, and the Western Kenya, Miriam, I don't think they will unite 100% towards Musalia Mudavadi, unless Musalia Mudavadi is supported by all other leaders from Western Kenya who have support, including Oparanya, including Raila Amolo Odinga, the former Prime Minister, and the rest. But Miriam, when you look at it keenly, the people in One Kenya Alliance, these guys need Raila Amolo Odinga than Raila Amolo Odinga needs them, because Raila Amolo Odinga, without the support of Musalia Mudavadi, he can get support from Western Kenya. Without the support of the Wiper Party leader, with the support of the likes of Alfred Mutua and Charlie Tingilu, Raila Amolo Odinga can still get some numbers from Ukambani. Therefore, when you look at all this, Raila Amolo Odinga seems to be having a very good support across this region where One Kenya Alliance principles comes from. Therefore, it is just a matter of time before they think or strategize on what they need to do. But Miriam, I think the meeting they are having in Naivasha today is a meeting to deliberate on who will be the deputy president of who. These guys, they know very well. They will not be on the ballot. Maybe they are working out, they're ironing things out to know who will deputize the former prime minister or who will deputize any other formidable candidate. But to them, they are not the formidable candidate as we head to 2022 general election. The only position they can iron out and discuss and maybe agree on or disagree on is the position of the running mate of the former prime minister. I think maybe that is what they are doing in Naivasha, but we'll be waiting at afternoon to see what will come out of that meeting.
Okay.
But them being on the presidential ballot, Miriam, I don't see them making any difference on what they have done previously, because they have run for this position and they didn't even got to second position. I submit.
All right, and let's not forget that Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, launched his presidential bid just days ago, and over the weekend also ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi also said his name has to be on the ballot. And Karanja, you're saying that is just a bubble that will be busted soon, as the meeting in Naivasha perhaps is to discuss on who will be the appropriate running mate. Okay, let's see what they'll come up with, and we shall be here tomorrow to discuss it. On page 5 of the Daily Nation, fresh bid to unite the Central Region behind one coalition. 15 political party leaders in Central have resolved to unite and lobby for the region's interest ahead of next year's general election. The Nation has established that the leaders include Omwangi Kiunchuri of the Service Party, Martha Karua of NARC Kenya, Moses Kuria Chama cha Kazi, Lenny Kivutu Restore and Build Kenya, Isau Kioni Democratic Party, Thuo Mathenge the New Democrats, and Mpuri Aburi National Ordinary People Empowerment Union. Okay, I've never heard of this party, but it's interesting. Now, the leaders are expected to meet at Naivasha Hotel tomorrow to craft an agreement. Sources told the nation that the meeting will also be attended by one of the parliamentary speakers, a cabinet secretary, and governor. All right, so the story continues. So Mount Kenya leaders, about 15 parties, are meeting, and they're trying to craft a way to bring back Mount Kenya region, a region that we know has always been very united when it comes to how they vote. They always speak in one voice, and but we've seen Deputy President, somehow causing some turbulence there. So most likely, from what we've been seeing, if it continues, then there's a possibility that might not be the case this time round. But now we are seeing these leaders in a fresh beat to try to bring everybody else together for a place that is known to always be together and vote in one voice. Will this be a daunting task, Samuel Tawish, or what do you see this happening? How do you see this working out?
Miriam, to begin with, I suppose it's somehow diversionary, or rather, unless it is a diversionary tactic, you cannot scatter, then purport to one together. I mean, the people of Mount Kenya, the MK3, Moses Kuria, Martha Karua, Mwangi Kiunjuri, purporting really to unite the Mount Kenya region under one political coalition or one political party. They should have first of all focus on the primary parties they have. For example, Jubilee Party, which has made inroads, in fact, a party that most of them were elected through. You have the NARC Kenya, of course, party. And then you have the Service Party that is being led by Mwangi Kiunjuri. And now you have Chama cha Kazi by Moses Kuria. In the first place, why should we have all these political parties? If indeed the intention or the intent is to unite the people of Mount Kenya under one coalition or one alliance, I suppose that first of all, these people should concentrate on uniting behind calls by President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga to unite not only the people of Mount Kenya or Central Kenya, if you like, but the entire country. That is very, very important. Although I appreciate the fact that charity has to begin at home, you will have to start this unity agenda or unity quest in your own house before you can now spread the tentacles and invite other people really in this quest for the unity of purpose. But again, I do not really read any goodwill coming from these individuals. I do not read good intent coming from the MK3, because again, this could just be sellout. They could just be people who are working for William Ruto. One, to purport to unite the people of Mount Kenya so that they can now be auctioned as a one house when they can speak in one voice. So first thing first, they have to listen to what President Uhuru Kenyatta is giving unto them in terms or in form of advice in as far as unity agenda is concerned, because already the president has rolled out an elaborate program really of a unity agenda, not only in Mount Kenya, but the entire country. Why can they join the bandwagon? Why can they join the ship and actually preach the unity and preach about the unity of the people of Mount Kenya? I mean, we have political parties in those particular regions. These individuals have been working for the last 4 years, Miriam, dismantling the Jubilee Party simply because they wanted to create their own briefcase parties in the name of Chama cha Kazi of Moses Kuria, and now the Service Party of Mwangi Kiunjuri, for them eventually to tell Kenyans or the people of Mount Kenya that we now want to come back together and speak in one voice. So has it just dawned to them that this is the time the people of Mount Kenya really need to speak in one voice? Did they think in the first place that the kind of trajectory they were taking, trying to auction the people of Mount Kenya to the highest bidder, is not finally bearing fruit for them? And I think they have to think now outside the box in considering that the people of Mount Kenya, in as much as they want to speak in one voice, but not speaking in that one voice of being auctioned to the highest bidder, it's about them making a decision that they deem fit for them, and that which their current leader, who is President Uhuru Kenyatta, is going to advise them the direction to take politically as we head into 2022 general election. But all these other kind of meetings purportedly to unite the people of Mount Kenya, coming from Moses Kuria, coming from Mwangi Kiunjuri, the people who have been vehemently fighting President Uhuru Kenyatta, the people who have orchestrated a rebellion within the Jubilee Party, and now in President Uhuru Kenyatta's backyard, I do not trust them at all, unless they are doing a fresh thing this time around. Miriam, I submit.
Okay. Samuel Tawish, thank you. And a fresh bid to unite Central Kenya region behind one coalition. How do you see that working out, Jeff and Karanja?
Thank you very much, Miriam, for that question. And is a reality that Mount Kenya region has been divided by the political events that have been happening in the country since and after the handshake. But Miriam, to put the point straight to home, you will realize that we need, as the people of Mount Kenya region, the leaders, mostly those who have been supporting the deputy president, from the look of things and from what have been happening in the Jubilee Party, they have realized that it will be a grave mistake if they fold their small political parties and join UDA. And if UDA happens to form the next government, what will they use to bargain? And if the UDA decides to go the Jubilee way and maybe divide, where will be the people of Mount Kenya? Where will be the left? Therefore, they are working on a strategy to ensure that whichever coalition they support, they'll have maybe an exit, maybe a strategy if things goes bad. They'll have a vehicle to take them home if the vehicle they'll be bonding will not guarantee them reaching to their destination. I think that is simply what they are saying, because when you look at them clearly, you'll see that Martha Karua, although he does not support the deputy president, although he doesn't support the BBI, he is just a woman who has her own stance. When you look at Moses Kuria and Mwangi Kiunjuri, they have been supporting the deputy president. But the question that they have been being asked here on the ground is, you support the deputy president. When Deputy President supported Uhuru Kenyatta in 2013, he brought on board some conditions, some demands that were to be fulfilled before he supports President Uhuru Kenyatta. And the people here in Mount Kenya region were asking these leaders, what do we have in this UDA arithmetic that you are preaching day in and day out? And I think that is when reality dawned to them that they need also to go and make some demands to whichever coalition they support, whether it's deputy president, whether it's Raila Amolo Odinga, because the votes that we have in Mount Kenya region, almost 6 million votes, cannot just be sold out just like that. We need to bargain. We need to know what will the Mount Kenya region as a region will benefit with in terms of development, in terms of positions in this government that they will be campaigning hard to form. And if you listen to Mwangi Kiunjuri keenly, you could have, that is the rhetoric. That is what they're asking. What does William Ruto have for them? And they have come out clearly that they will not fold their parties and join UDA, but they have said that their parties will be on the ballot come 2022. And this is very good because, Miriam, we cannot be preaching of national inclusivity when we have divisions at our small units, and that is our community level, and at regional level. And I think this is a good gesture that we need to unite everyone, Miriam, around the country. When you go to Kalenjin Nation, you'll see they are trying hard to unite, and they are really trying also to reach out to Gideon Moi to see whether he can support the deputy president. When you go to Western Kenya, everyone is talking of Mulembe inclusion. When you go to the northern east, the nomadics, they are talking of their inclusivity. Everyone, Miriam, we are in the political season, and everyone is talking of their inclusivity. Therefore, it is not something strange when Mount Kenya region and Mount Kenya leaders talks of inclusivity and talks of coming together so that they can forge a political political scenario where they will have the bargaining power, or where they happen to form the next government. And Miriam, all this rhetoric that you are seeing, Miriam, if they will not culminate with the Mount Kenya region producing their own presidential candidate, Miriam, I think I might be wrong, but that is the direction that this wave is taking. Miriam will not be surprised if the next president will come from the same region, because all this rhetoric is just to push William Ruto to the corner, to push Raila Odinga to the corner. And before we realize, you'll see them coming with a presidential candidate from Mount Kenya region. And Miriam, that is the direction they are taking, because now they have extended from Mwangi Kiunjuri, Martha Karua, because they one who originate the author of this debate, and now they have stretched to other Kieleweke and Tangatanga leaders. Therefore, before we realize, Miriam, they will come here and say, because we have the numbers, what we need is to seek support from other communities, and you might see them forming the next government. Miriam, that this is just a strategy, and because nobody is very sure whether they will support Raila Odinga, William Ruto, because these people, Miriam, the reality is they are loved and hated in Mount Kenya region in same measures. Therefore, the best option is to have a neutral candidate who can be supported by Mount Kenya region as a bloc. And that person might only be from Mount Kenya region, or somebody who maybe is unknown in this country. Therefore, maybe this debate, that is where it is heading. But time will prove, or time will vindicate what I'm just preempting. But I think that is the direction. Because William Ruto and Raila Amolo Odinga, in Mount Kenya region, there's a problem. And the vote might be divided. And if it's to go as a bloc, Miriam, the only option for Mount Kenya region to support someone as a bloc is for that person to come from their region. And I think if that is the debate, then they should come out openly and say that they want a presidential candidate from their region. And it's democratic, it's their democratic right, but Kenyans will decide on the ballot.
Okay.
I submit.
All right, thank you so much. And still staying with Mount Kenya politics, Raila dilemma over choice of running mate. That is the main headline on the Star newspaper. Ala is keen that he picks a deputy from Mount Kenya region. The story is on page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper. ODM leader Raila Odinga has to perform a political balancing act in picking a running mate for the race to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta, having declared his intention to face off against Deputy President William Ruto. The next question is in Raila's camp is who will help him deliver a decisive win. What are some of the things that he should be looking at even as he contemplates in who will be his running mate? Samuel Tawish.
Miriam, one, there are factors that you can't quite wish away when you're trying to craft a winning formula, especially in the presidential contest. One is looking into the numbers. You have to look into which particular region, because again, our politics in the country today have largely remained tribal, and there's no way you can actually live in denial that our politics are not tribal in nature. And therefore, there's that aspect of people really are trying to come out and say, what is it that we have been given as a region? What is it we have been given as a community for us really to guarantee our support to that particular candidate? So one, there's a factor about the number, factors to do with the number. Second is about, of course, the disgruntlement. If I choose, for example, from central Kenya, what will be the feeling of, say, people from western Kenya, or what will be the feeling of people from eastern region or people from the coastal region? I mean, because Raila comes from the Nyanza region, we do not largely expect that we'll consider maybe Nyanza for that purpose. But again, there's this feeling that maybe because the central Kenya region is a vote-rich region, and by itself, really, they will also not be very far from the mainstream power, as it were, because they've had presidency, I think, from Jomo Kenyatta, Mwai Kibaki, and now we have, of course, Uhuru Kenyatta. I mean, the list I think they will settle for, now that we are not sure about the fate of BBI, will be a running mate. And if you're not going to give them a running mate, what will be the guarantee that they're going to support your vision or to support your candidature? Because again, Raila Odinga's vision as well, in as far as this quest is concerned, is to clinch the presidency. But how would you clinch the presidency if the region with a big number of voters, if at all you can woo them to your side, you're not giving them any bait that will really make these people or persuade these people really to vote for you. So those are some of the factors, I suppose, that Raila Odinga will be looking, including also the aspect of the regional balance, like I've mentioned. There's also the question of the gender balance, Miriam, do not forget, because women are also, they're out here asking, what is it that is in for us? You saw the last meeting that Raila Odinga, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and other leaders had at the coast. There were some, of course, the social media was a buzz within people really making some human asking, where is the lady in this particular making? I mean, we are the biggest voting bloc in this country, but again, when it comes to negotiating or trying to arrange on how political seats are going to be shared, we are nowhere on the main table. So how is it going to be for women? So that's also a very critical card that I would have wished that if BBI had a smooth sailing or really had passed, then probably we would have expanded the executive, and so many of these other interested groups or interests would have been accommodated. But as it is now, it's really a daunting task for not only Raila Odinga, but even for William Ruto. Because again, for William Ruto, is even more complicated. There's a feeling in this country that the presidency has been largely dominated by two region or tribes in this country from time immemorial. I mean, the Kalenjin nation and the Kikuyu nation. So if William Ruto was to contest for presidency and pick Kikuyu a running mate, so it looks like it still remains a status quo. But for Raila Odinga, given that, say, for example, Luos, because politics is tribal anyway, Luos have never had the presidency. If Raila Odinga was to contest for presidency and maybe go for a Kikuyu president, it will make an appeasing ticket for the electorates across the region, or to go for Ukambani, or to go to Western, or even to the coastal region. So he has to juggle it very carefully, but do it in a way that is not going to upset his traditional strongholds. But again, there are new areas or new, of course, interests that Raila Odinga is trying to make in some of these regions, more so the central voting bloc. Miriam, I submit.
Okay. Thank you so much. And you brought in the issue of expanded executive that is contained in the BBI. I think that would have helped in having the regional balance, and all these leaders would have been, counted for in the top executive there. But we don't know. We are waiting for the fate of the BBI, as you have said there, Samuel Tawish. And of course, the judgment will be made on Friday, so we shall be here waiting for that. And you've also brought up the issue of a traditional Raila's voting.
Sorry, Miriam, if you allow me a bit of latitude, like a minute or so. Another thing will be, Miriam, given that we are not very sure what is going to come out of the ruling by the Court of Appeal, or if at all the BBI case is going to proceed after the Supreme Court, just assuming that BBI maybe is going to die this time around, it will also be upon the presidential candidate really to promise or to give a pledge to the people that you will want backing from, especially those that are not going to get, say, the Speaker slot from the National Assembly and the Senate and the running mate slot, that in case we win this presidential election, then we are going to begin afresh a bid really to have a change in the constitution so that we can introduce these other positions of the prime minister and two deputy prime ministers, and also the ministers to be appointed from the elected leaders in the assemblies. In itself, therefore, can also be a bait really to these particular regions, if at all they are not going to fall in the question of the presidential candidate or even a running mate.
Okay, all right, thank you so much, Jevan, Samuel Tawish. Now, Jevan, the issues that Samuel Tawish has mentioned there, and just going back to something you said there are areas that have traditionally voted for Raila. That will be Western Kenya, parts of Eastern, coastal region. So when you look at this headline on the Star newspaper saying allies are keen that he picks a deputy from Mount Kenya region, because also, number one, of it's a vote-rich area, so perhaps that will help in bringing in these votes. But his traditional allies, who have been there hoping that, he could pick one of them, and, he might upset them if he decides to pick a running mate from elsewhere, but also looking at the bigger picture and the dynamics and the matrix that he has to look at. How would you advise Raila Odinga to pick his deputy?
Thank you very much, Miriam, for that. A good question. And I'll say that maybe without the BBI, every presidential candidate is having stress because in this issue of choosing and selecting the running mate and a deputy and the former prime minister rather is not he is not spared because he also wants a running mate. And I think because the former prime minister, to me, and this is my opinion and from what I think, because he has been getting support across the country without the support of Mount Kenya region, the best he can do is to come to Mount Kenya region, campaign, camp there, and ensure that he gets at least 25% of all the total vote casted in Mount Kenya region. And I know he can get without really having a running mate from Mount Kenya region. Because if he happens to pick a running mate from Mount Kenya region, I think other regions which have been supporting him, like the coast with Joho, like with the Western Kenya, they feel like they have been abandoned a big time, and they might revolt and maybe go to other camps. And that is what other maybe presidential hopeful are waiting for Raila Odinga to make one mistake and maybe camp in Mount Kenya region and forget his other voting bloc which have been supporting him since 2007. Therefore, this is an uphill task for all presidential candidates, but for Raila Odinga, he only needs some small votes from Mount Kenya region to get to presidency, compared to William Ruto, who needs almost 98.9 or 99.9% of all the total vote casted in Mount Kenya region on his side. Therefore, it will be easy for Raila Amolo Odinga maybe to go with Kalonzo Musyoka or Musalia Mudavadi and ensure that he maintains his original voting bloc, because he is not sure of how Mount Kenya region will vote, but he is sure of other regions. Therefore, it will be a grave mistake if he puts all his hope in Mount Kenya region. I would rather advise him to go and seek president's running mate from other regions and come and campaign with the regional leaders from this region. Because from what I've seen, all the leaders who support former Prime Minister in Mount Kenya region, they are not keen of getting any running mate position. They are keen on ensuring that Raila Amolo Odinga gets to State House because they feel that their interest will be safeguarded, not rather by having an appointment from the region. I think that is the different scenario. But for William Ruto, he needs to get a running mate from Mount Kenya region. If he doesn't do that, Miriam, he lose terribly. And for William Ruto, his hopes are he has camped his hopes in Mount Kenya region. If he happens to make one silly mistake and maybe the people sees that he is not for them, they will disappear. I think that is the difference scenarios that are being presented to these two horses as we head to 2022 general election. I think it is easy for Raila Amolo Odinga to win, and he is so close to victory if only he plays his cards well.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So what I had you to be saying is that when it comes to the Mount Kenya Reach voting bloc, stakes are much higher for the Deputy President William Ruto. All right. And so there's a story on page 8. Ruto hits out at leaders pushing for law change. But there's a place there, just down there on that story, that captured my attention. According to the Deputy President, the United Democratic Alliance plans to ensure small traders get cash to run their businesses in a similar manner as how CDF is allocated for the development of schools, among other projects. Some of the things he's proposing when he's elected, should he be elected as the President of the Republic of Kenya, UDA plans to do that, give money in the manner in which CDF is allocated. How practical is this idea, Samuel Tawish?
Miriam, I can tell you for a fact that Ruto doesn't have any idea on how he can revamp the Kenya's economy, how he can be a solution to Kenya's problem, especially on the economic front, because he's been part of the problem. He cannot offer any solution. He cannot even purport to have any atom of solution to the problems that Kenyans are facing. William Ruto has been a member of parliament for Eldoret North constituency many times. He's been a minister for agriculture and higher education in this country. He's been deputy president elected alongside the president for 2 consecutive terms since 2013, and now we are in 2021. And the same William Ruto, who has never offered a solution to the problems that you are having, is purporting now that once elected president, then he can be a solution. I mean, the question that anyone would really ask Deputy President William Ruto, or anyone who purports really to speak for him or his ally, that what has been an impediment or a hurdle for Deputy President William Ruto to implement all of this, what appears to be good policies or good agendas that he has all along had for this country? Is it lack of resources? Is it lack of political will? And if it is lack of political goodwill, then he's the one to blame. He's been at the top echelon of political office in this country, being a deputy president elected alongside the president, and therefore he cannot purport that he cannot influence decision or policy in as far as how to revamp the Kenya's economy or how to uplift the livelihoods of the ordinary Mwananchi that now he purports to speak for. When William Ruto comes out and says he wants to empower, say for example, the mama mokers, or even the boda operators, or even the mkokoteni pushers, how practically is he going to do this? But when you look onto the other side of the divide, especially the proposals that are being captured in the Building Bridges Initiative, BBI if you like, one is anchored on policy and constitutionalism. That is going to be, this monies are going to be allocated say if it's about the youth, that there's going to be a given percentage for the youth to invest or to borrow, grants to actually start up businesses, that we are going to allow the young people who are coming out from universities or colleges really a grace period of say 7 and above years without paying taxes. In itself, Miriam, is it not a good incentive that will actually uplift the economy of this country? If you're talking about the World Development Funds, today we do not have those monies actually given to the funds. It's not captured in the constitution. It just falls on the goodwill of the governors really to give or allocate a few coins to their buddies or to the MCAs who are actually singing their tune. But now if the same is going to be captured in the constitution in a policy way, Miriam, then I think that is the way to go. But for Miriam, I think it's just more of populist politics, just trying to whip euphoria and whip emotions of the ordinary and the vulnerable people really to vote for him, but nothing after that. I mean, he's been tested. We know he's a person who does not deliver, unless you have never been to this country, unless you are a visitor in Jerusalem. William Ruto's approach to how to uplift the economy of the country is not sellable, it's not practical, and therefore Kenyans should ignore it.
All right. Thank you so much, Tawish. I know I'm hurrying you up because our time is really going, and we are going to run an interview by Dr. David Matsanga in one of the, CAS television stations. So that's why I'm hurrying, because I also want to hear what Javan has to say about this matter. Now, according to the Deputy President, Javan, the United Democratic Alliance plans to ensure small traders get cash to run their businesses in a similar manner as how CDF is allocated for the development of schools, among other projects. And we know even in CDF, there are places CDF has done wonderful jobs, like I see in my villages, how it has transformed the schools there and things like that. But we know there are also a number of cases where this money has been plundered and misused and all of that, because it's left at the mercy of the politicians there. So now you want to bring in, businesses which will be benefiting in this kind of, structure there. How is this practical? Should this become a reality?
Thank you very much, Miriam. And I want to make it clear that in the first contribution, I didn't say that William Ruto will get the Mount Kenya votes. I just said that Mount Kenya, William Ruto needs Mount Kenya region more than Raila Amolo Odinga needs the votes in this region. But on the same note, William Ruto has been the deputy president for many years, and I have been saying this, he need to come out and account for the years that have been the deputy president and show the world what he has done to achieve a tremendous excellence performance in terms of uplifting the livelihoods of the people he calls the hustlers. If he's talking of adding additional money to the CDF kitty, he has been opposing the BBI by saying that the additional resources allocation from 15% to that 5% by the BBI to county government will not be possible because the country doesn't have money. Therefore, I want to ask the deputy president, where will he be getting this additional 100 million to add to our constituency so that we can uplift the livelihoods of the people he calls hustler? Number two, the CDF money has been mismanaged by the members of parliament who will be managing this kitty that he is promising the people he terms as hustlers, because we must also account for this money, because as taxpayers' money, this is our money. And Miriam, if we talk of this culture of handouts, a culture of giving money freely to people without having a process, because if it's about money, even the government money, even if it is a loan from a bank, there's a procedural requirement that you must adhere to for you to get this money. This money that is promising just to give anyhow, Miriam, this will ruin our economy. One, this money will be scattered all over the country. The value of our money will reduce. Everyone will be having for their money. Therefore, you'll not be bettering the economy, but you'll be destroying the economy. You need to say that you'll have maybe a way of ensuring these people get money, those who need the money, because you cannot just pump money to anybody just because you want them to vote for you. Therefore, these are things that are not realistic. This is just a rhetoric so that he can get some votes from the people he calls as hustlers and the mama boggers. There's nothing for mama boggers in William Ruto policies. This is just what he has for mama boggers is just good words and sweet words and rhetoric. There's no action-oriented approach to uplift their livelihoods. Then he has been talking of bottom-up. Every time is bottom-up. This bottom-up approach, number one, he needs money to trickle down from the treasury to the people he calls mama boggers. Therefore, in all cases, he could this is this is just a model that you have been using, because when you look at devolution, it is devolving resources from a national government to a lower level of governance, and the deputy president is talking of devolving resources from the treasury to a lower level of governance, and that is the constituency level. Therefore, it's all the same thing, but William Ruto is using different things, and this is not the first time. And before we head to 2022 general election, we'll come with a new slogan. He started with Masafara, then he came to Hustlers, he came to Wheelbarrownomics. Now they are bottom up. We will come with something else, because there's nothing tangible. They are not consistent with what they want to do for these people they call us Walalahoi.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And on the Standard newspaper, the main headline there, eyes on hardliners, and they've we have names of politicians who are considered to be hardliners. You have Junet Mohammed, Ayub Savula, Edwin Sifuna, Cleophas Malala, Alice Wahome, Gladys Wanga, Samson Cherargei, Enoch Wambua, Mutula Kilonzo, Susan Kihika. I don't know. Which headliner do you think they've left in this? I think Moses Kuria and Emilio Odhiambo should be in there. Which headliner in the Kenyan politics do you think is missing in this list? Quickly, Samuel Tawish. All right, Tawish is gone, Shivan.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Just a name.
I think one, Gojiri Wambugu.
Okay.
I think he is a very stand supporter of the president.
All right.
And Kanini Kega. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Tawish, headline mgani ameachwa from this list?
They should include myself, of course. Much as I'm not elected.
All right, thank you so much. This has been Good Morning Africa. Thank you so much, Samuel Tawish, Jivan Karanja. We shall be back
Thanks
here.
so much, Miriam.
All right, we shall be back here at 11 a.m. With more conversation. Up next is a conversation that Dr. Matanga had on Kans TV. It will be playing. My name is Miriam Mugutu. This has been Good Morning Africa. A very good morning to you.